Hi guys, it's Lara. Thank you all for watching and welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another hairstyling video and today it's gonna be all about basic braids made of 3 strands. Now that might sound like, isn't that a little too obvious? They are not so difficult, but there are certain things that I like doing. I have a few little hacks that I apply regularly and I thought I'm gonna share them with you. So if that's something you're interested in, then please keep watching. For those of you who are new to braiding, I'm still gonna show the basic technique. So I'm gonna start with this section on the left side. So you have to part your hair into 3 equally thick strands. And I hear very often from friends that they are having difficult time to part your hair equally. So if that's the case, simply part it in the middle and make equally thick strands, and then simply always take a little bit from each side until you reach the same thickness. Just play with this a little bit. So the basic technique is to braid in following way. So you hold the 2 sides that are outside and you have one section here in the middle. So you take one section and put it towards the other side, and then you grab the section that was in the middle and you have to secure with your fingers, which is what I like doing with these 2, the section that you just moved to the other side, and then you grab the section that was on the outer, and that's now your middle section. And you repeat this procedure. So that section goes over, I will hold this section, this becomes my center, and this goes over. So that's the basic technique. And you see that it's creating kind of V's here, right? And you can do this in the opposite way. So I'm just gonna clip this for the time being. So I'm gonna grab here this. I will divide my hair into 3 pretty much equally thick sections. You can also reverse braid it, which means instead of putting the hair to the front, I'm just gonna go from the back. So I will still move the section that's here inside, closer to my neck, outside, but not over the center, but behind the center. I will grab this, secure the new center, and now I will grab this section and move it behind the center. And that's how I'm going to braid. And that will create a little bit different pattern. I hope you can see it. So let me finish this one and I'm gonna go a little bit closer so that you see the difference. So here you have it. You have the V's here like so, and here they are reversed. So that's the first difference. The next thing is when I'm, for example, wearing 2 braids, it always depends on which strand is going first over the center, how it's gonna look at the end. So when I want to frame here this nicely, my face, I always like starting with the back section first, and I like putting it, like basically reverse braid it, so I like putting it behind the center, and then I continue braiding, and I kind of braid it close to my ear. And when I braid it a few sections, I like holding this and then I adjust this to the way I like it before I continue, because that's a place where it's still easy to redo this. So I'm just gonna finish braiding. And here we are going to come to a section where I have a few flyaways. And I'm gonna show you what you can do with them. So if you have somewhere like here, these short hairs, you can always grab the longer hairs and wrap them around the shorter ones in order to hide the ends so that they wouldn't stick out. It's gonna be a little bit more visible on the other side. So let's do this again. So I'm gonna section my hair into 3. And I will start reverse braiding. I'll do a few sections and now I will start playing with the front until I like what it looks like. And once I come to a part where I have to hide some little ends, then I'll go a little bit closer and show you what to do with it again. And here we are. So I have here certain hairs that are a little bit shorter, so I just grab the longer ones and wrap that around the shorter hairs. Wrapping the shorter hairs into the longer hairs in the strand is very important, especially if you have layers, so that when you braid your hair that you don't end up with little ends sticking out. The next thing we're gonna look at is so-called pancaking. I don't know who made up the name, but it sounds silly, but it's kind of cute at the same time. Pancaking your hair means that you're gonna stretch the braids out so that they look more voluminous. And instead of just grabbing this, which would kind of jump back at some point, it's better to hold your braid and just grab only a little bit of the outer of the strand and stretch it out. And then do this section by section as you're moving downwards. And you'll see how much thicker this braid is going to look than the other one. And it's important that you stretch out only a section of the braid, because again, if you would just pull on it like this, the hair would jump back and then it would, you know, go back to the original position. You can always stretch it out even a little bit more if you want a really super voluminous braid. And I guess the term pancaking comes from the effect that it has, because the braid ends up being flatter. Now, if you are someone who has rather thinner hair and it's really difficult to create more volume, you can either use clip-in extensions, or if you don't want that, if you want to work just with your hair, you can also fake these braids. So you would section your hair into two sections where you would end up having one front section and one back section. And you would grab the front section, part it, pull it over the back section, and you can clip the back section somewhere else for the time being. And you would create braid made of tied sections. So basically tie these two strands together, then lower the next section, the first section basically. You can divide this in two, clip this up again, and work your way through the entire braid, like so. And then you have to pancake this so that it looks super voluminous. So always grab the outer part of each section and stretch it out. You're basically pulling it out, and do this section by section, and you will notice how much thicker even this side is going to look than my other braid. And that's the one that we pancaked. So this should give you a really great idea how to do this. So you see this looks so much thicker. And one cool thing is that the braid, since it's just tied, looks also a little bit longer. And I'm gonna put a flower here. And here we go. Since I've been showing everything so far on two braids, I'm also gonna show you how I personally like parting my hair. Normally the go-to style is to simply draw a straight line through the center like so, part your hair, and that's it. But I personally like doing a zigzag line in the back. That comes from the times when I was still dyeing my hair blonde. So whenever I started having roots, that was a wonderful way how to part it, because it wasn't that obvious that I had roots. And this zigzag line parts the hair nicely. It looks a little bit different, and it also was hiding the growing out natural hair color. So I'm gonna turn around and show you how it looks like. So this would be the classical straight line. I like starting here a little bit more on the left and just moving like so, parting the hair in a zigzag line. And when I move almost to the end, that's where I make the line in the center. And this is what it looks like when it's parted. And as I mentioned, it's a wonderful way of parting your hair if you are dyeing your hair and if you start having roots. So even though I grew out my natural hair color, I still like parting it that way because it looks a little almost fancier. It's just not the typical straight line that most people have, and that's what I personally prefer. But there's nothing wrong with either. You can do it whatever works for you the best, whatever you prefer. Now a few more ideas. So you can always simply tie your hair first. If you want to have a more secure hairstyle, for example for sports, or when you're going somewhere where it's really windy, sailing or hiking, and then you can start braiding your hair, and you can always choose whether you're gonna braid it the regular way or reverse braid it. And if your hair is long enough, or if you have simply clip-in extensions that will extend your hair enough for crown hairstyles, you can always grab the braided hair and wrap it here around like so. I'm just gonna put a clippy in, and I'm gonna put the hair over this like so, and I'll put in another clippy here. And here you go. That's a lovely hairstyle, very quickly made. You can use, instead of clippies, bobby pins. I personally don't like bobby pins that much, but for this hairstyle I definitely use them. I use several just to hold it in place. And yeah, you can always put in a few flowers and make it look a little romantic if you don't hurt yourself with the flowers like I almost did. I personally also like sometimes braiding just this one side, because that's the side that goes the most into my face whenever I'm wearing my hair down. So I would make a simple reverse braid here, and when I'll be done I'll simply pancake it so that it looks a little bit more voluminous. So this has been braided downwards, and this braid was meant to just hang loose. Whenever you want to make some kind of half up where the braids will be pulled into a certain position, it does make a difference how you start braiding. So whenever I want to have something going to the top, I always pull the hair into the position into which I want the braid to be. So if I wanted to have a braid going here on the top, I would start here. And that's how I would braid, because if I would want to grab this one and put it up, look what it would do. It would not look good. So that's really important. With this one, it's not a problem as long as I keep it kind of low, and you can always pull a little bit on the front section, but there's limit to that. So as you have seen, like if I would put it up, it would look kind of weird. So it does make a difference with half up. Of course, even the simplest braid doesn't have to be basic. If you enjoy accessories, you can always accessorize with whatever you personally find pretty. So I have here this flowery headband, so I'm gonna put it in like so. And I decided I wanted to look like a meadow for you guys today, so I am going to add a few flowers, because why not? So normally I don't really wear that many accessories. It always depends on what I'm wearing on that particular day, but today I kind of feel like it. And one more thing I wanted to mention about braids. It's really important to have decent hair ties that will not damage your ends, because you have to keep in mind, especially if you're growing out your hair like I do, that where you tie your hair when you braided it, that's the sections that are the oldest that will most likely have the most damage. You don't want to add to it, so I personally don't use anything like these hair ties that are like these round hair ties. I find them too harsh. I don't even like using them for my ponytail. I still have a few at home, but they will probably end up somewhere. Either I'm gonna give them to someone who doesn't mind, or they will end up in trash. So you have a few possibilities. So either you use just fabric soft hair ties like these. These are my personal favorites because they are very gentle to my hair. Or you can use these small rubber elastics. I'm not so fond of them because they create a lot of waste. But if I'm braiding something for a special occasion that consists of multiple small tiny braids, I would use something like this, and that would be the exception. Normally I'm trying to avoid these, but they might be your only option if you have rather finer and thin hair, because these are actually quite big. So if your hair is rather on the thinner or finer side, then definitely go for these. They are soft, they will not do so much damage. There are different small hair ties like these, but it's the rounded ones, and I just find them too hard, and I don't like what it does long term to the ends of my hair. I just remembered one more thing. If your hair is very silky and soft, and whenever you're braiding, the hair is really trying to escape, you can first spray it a little bit with dry shampoo, or you can use any hairspray that you personally like using. I prefer hairsprays that I can brush out very easily, so nothing that would glue the hair together. So that's also something you might want to try out when you're braiding your hair, because when you use a dry shampoo or a hairspray, the hair is gonna have more grip and it's gonna be a little bit easier to control your hair. But that's really it. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and you can also share it with anyone who you think might be interested. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys so much. God bless you, and I'm gonna see you soon with my next video. Bye!